Welcome back to The Last Word, the podcast where heartbreak meets hardwood. Tonight, we're talking about the New York Knicks. And we're talking about Madison Square Gardens. And the echo that we're hearing in there is just silence. The New York Knicks, banged up, bruised, and battling, came up short in Game 6 against the Indiana Pacers. The final score is not important because the New York Knicks are going home. But the end of the run had fans daring and they had them believing. So we ask ourselves the question: do the Knicks need to do something with Jalen Brunson, who gave us everything he had? I mean, until he couldn't? The death he ran, like look at the depth that the Knicks had. It ran thin, and the shots went cold, and the dream slipped out of reach of the New York Knicks, and they just seemed like they were destined for another. What was it? The 90s when Ewing missed that layup. It just seemed like the curse just seems to loom around. So I'm not sure what happened in New York, but something's got to give. What's your take on the Knicks going down to?
I didn't know where you're going with this.
Well,
that was some long ass soliloquy there.
That is a soliloquy because that's what the Knicks deserve. They got that soliloquy because, hey, New York, big contracts, big superstars, a lot of action. Superstars. We're talking about superstars. Cat is supposed to be the biggest, the best big man, shooting big man there is out there. That's what he said. Brunson has proven himself to be a superstar. And hey, the supporting cast, OG's paid like a superstar. He is a champion. And Mikal Bridges is on his way to being paid like a superstar. So we're talking about. I know you're talking about.
That's a lot of superstar talk for no superstars. But I think we're gonna touch on that.
Let me just hear your assessment. The Knicks went down to the Indiana Pacers in Game 6.
Okay.
Halliburton gave them the choke, and Spike Lee yet again has to see Ewing going down. Now he sees Brunson going down. Do the Knicks come back next year better, or do we see the same thing happening over and over again?
You could very possibly see it happen. I think that it's possible that they even go out earlier next year. Who knows, right? Depending on what happens in the offseason. But the reality is, yeah, they and it is out there, the thought that how can you only go so far? Just naturally with a guard leading your team. There's only been a handful of point guards, especially at his size, to be able to lead a team to a finals. Never mind win it. So it's tough. And Karl Anthony Towns, he offers his challenges, right? Again, that it's in some way he needs to come back a more focused and more disciplined defender. He has to add some element of defense and provide this team with some element of defense if we're going to see New York take that next leap, if he's still on the team.
I really don't see anything happening in New York's favor unless they pull off the unthinkable and get Giannis into town. Unless that happens, we're talking about pie in the sky, but it is possible. Talks are out there. It is possible. If Giannis does not show up in New York, New York will surely face the same feat next year. I don't see
it. And again, let's be honest. Boston's going to be down next year. No Tatum. Pacers should still be kicking around. Cleveland, do they make a step forward in some fashion? The Knicks are going to be in the mix, but to what extent, right? To what extent?
So, we've talked about the Knicks. Obviously,
do you think they make a trade?
They have to.
You think they have to?
They have to.
You don't think standing pat, maybe
They don't
a
have
little internal development, maybe some additional stuff on the peripheral of the team. Maybe I think that's the most realistic
Here's what
look for the Knicks going into next season.
here's what I'm thinking that needs to happen. I think two things need to happen. I think you need to finally clear the front office.
Okay.
Get them some more pieces because obviously they're running the front five to the ground, which is obviously leading to the demise.
Again, that's a coaching decision there, right, by Tibbs, and only until he was forced into using some more of his bench did he really look at that option, right?
Do they have the talent on the bench though? That's a question.
And those are the peripheral moves I believe that they're gonna make, right? Potentially upgrade maybe a big man or a versatile guy with some length, maybe an additional spark off the bench, just scoring guy. But yeah, they have to do something, and I don't think the core is gonna be changed.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that if we really want to excel with New York and see them move to the next level, think about getting a coaching change. Tibbs is a good coach, yes, but we've seen the same story over and over again. And I'm not calling for anyone's job, but we've seen the story over again. Run the top players to the ground, and you're not even sure if they're going to be able to give you what they're supposed to be giving you when it really counts. So I think that mindset that he brings to the table has got to change because it's a different game.
It does. And we're going to find out if what Coach Tibbs is made of, right? Because he just naturally, you're going to want to improve and progress, right? And I think with a lot of the talk and a lot of just even the evidence of, hey, you got to ease up on these guys, especially in the regular season. Regular season especially. So
he's running these guys down to the
you
ground.
need a bench. You need some type of bench, a bench you can trust. So if that needs to be the focus of the franchise this offseason, early into the season, hey, get Tibbs some guys that he can trust, and he'll play. Because, yeah, you can't have Brunson and all these guys playing the type of minutes. It's ridiculous. OG, anyone who's
his history,
familiar with OG's history, that's not going to bode well.
So, yeah, I get what you're saying. I hope for the best for the Knicks because, man, those fans are really pulling for the Knicks to win. And for some reason, they just can't get over the hump. I thought that Cat trade would put them over the hump. But maybe Cat's a problem. Maybe Cat's is a problem. Maybe you can trade Cat for, and I'm saying that Giannis, if they can get Giannis somewhere in a Cat trade. You need a third
team. You need a team willing to.
Anything is possible. We've seen crazier. We've seen Luka move. The craziest trade happened this year. So, like I'm saying, anything's possible. If Giannis says, "Get me out of here. Let me play in New York," he's also said
that is the one way it could happen, I believe, for New York. If it's a Giannis specific look for. Outside of that, I don't know if they end up with Giannis.
Well,
I don't think they have the
New York
assets, the pieces to make that happen.
We got to end this segment right here. New York has a fantastic opportunity right now. They have a great nucleus, great core guys. If they were able to swing Giannis in a deal for Cat and some other pieces,
that would be huge.
That should be able to give me.
Would be huge.
Yeah, that they'll get my vote for definitely a contender.
The whole East will look a lot different if that's the case, especially next year.
So when we come back, we're going to talk the NBA Finals. Indiana Pacers will square off against the OKC.